Hello, welcome back. This little featurette, just a little wee featurette here to talk about the various projects that I've got ongoing, because I tend to concentrate on just sort of different projects at different times, and a lot of people have asked me questions about this project or that project, so I thought I'd just give you a very, very quick overview of what the projects are, what status they're at, and where they're going to be going, what's actually happening with them. So if you like it, I don't see why you would ever give me a thumbs down, because you're only here to hear about the project, so you're not going to give me a thumbs down, are you? I don't care if you give me a thumbs down. If you give me a thumbs down, give me a thumbs down. Comments down below here somewhere if you're playing with your computer. If you're watching on the telly, sorry, you can't give me comments down below because there's no way of doing it on your telly, unless you've got a smart telly and a keyboard. Rambling. If you want to contact me, churchhouseclassics, all one word, @gmail.com. I will get back to you with any questions, but bear in mind it might take me a day or two to actually get round to that, but I do promise to get back to you. There's a PayPal me link thing down here scrolling along the bottom there if you fancy supporting the channel, or indeed buy me a pint. If you want to buy me a pint, then yeah, just write on the donation, have a pint on me, Richard. Yeah, subscribe and enjoy the video. So, projects. Now, we start from the top really. So last week I relocated Red Shed to its new owner's double garage. That's near Bournemouth, very, very close to where the car was first registered. So that car is now there, waiting patiently in the barn, in the double garage. The project will be commencing early next year. I've got to finalise the details and so forth. I will be involved in that project. And the owner's very much keen to be learning skills and being hands-on, so I'll try and video as much of that as I possibly can. So that's Red Shed. Bob, who's there, that's Bob. Bob is it's been sold off plan. I'm going to go and see the new owner on Saturday, and we'll discuss the kind of the stage payment terms and the plan and so forth of where that's going. But it's very, very exciting kind of to actually, I mean, as much as I love building them, it's much more fun when someone's paying me to build them, and getting all that attention to detail, a bargain price. So that's Project Bob. My dad's car, the 1972 white Range Rover that I've been working on. I need to do a few things with that. I mean, the ultimate objective on that car is to get it repainted and retrimmed. Repaint is going to take place later this year. I need to sort the door hinge, passenger door hinge out on that. I need to replace the exhaust and fit a new steering box and fix the A-frame at the back, on the back axle. But at the moment, Bob is taking priority, so I need to get Bob rolling and get Bob relocated to my workshop, which is another exciting thing. Currently, we're at the contractual stage of a workshop in High Wycombe, negotiating the contract, but looking to move in beginning of November. Still be working in Devon from time to time, but majority of the time will be walking distance from home, which is good news. So Bob will be relocated up to from Devon up to High Wycombe in its entirety. So the new owner, who lives not far, can actually pop in from time to time. We can have conversations about the progress of the project. We can have conversations about options and so forth. But in the meantime, then, that frees up a workshop space down here for my dad's car, which is I was just talking about. So the DOA a-suffix Range Rover. So I can actually get that done, and then that wants to be relocated up to High Wycombe. And I'm going to then get that car painted up there, but I want to get it roadworthy. It's got a new set of tyres on it already, but just bits and bobs. And I'll do a video about that, I promise. Then, what have we got then? We've got my dad's short wheelbase Land Rover. Well, that's pretty much as it is at the moment. It's 1968 Series 2A. I've done pretty much everything I need to do on it at the moment. He does want the bodywork tidying up on it, but it's a working vehicle, and it drives around the field and tows the topper, and it goes to the tip and up to the pub, and it's just a general usable vehicle, very, very good order. So I don't really need to do anything with that at the moment. Sandy the Landy is one car that people regularly ask me about. What's happening with Sandy? Right, Sandy needs a new chassis, long and short of it. And as a project, it's viable, but as a business prospect, it's not. So I'm pondering what I'm going to do with this at the moment. My dad's kind of thinking about it and thinking, oh, that would look really very, very good with a full-length canvas tilt and hoops, and turn it into a pub bus. And then we could winterise it in the truest James Bond fashion. You remember that bloody winterising the Aston Martin convertible, which is the most stupid concept ever. Yeah, so my dad's pondering that. But I don't know yet. I could start a fundraising campaign with merch and so forth to raise some of the funds towards the chassis and then make it a viable proposition. But really, just so I can video it and show you guys how to change a chassis on a Series 3 long wheelbase Land Rover. If there's anyone who wants to buy it off plan, contact me. churchhouseclassics@gmail.com. Churchhouseclassics, all one word, @gmail.com. And yeah, we can discuss that, but I've got a rough idea of what the costs are going to be. I mean, pretty much it's a case of lifting the body and mechanics off, rolling a new chassis in, putting it all back together again. I mean, ideally, I wouldn't even bother painting it, but I appreciate some people want things a bit shinier. Right, so that's Sandy. I've got 3 a-suffix Range Rovers in the polytunnel. No plans for those at all yet, but they're not going anywhere. They are definitely on the agenda. If you want one of those, or you want one of those off plan, contact me. We can start conversations. Stag, by Stag. Yes, after the rebuild differential debacle, which worked absolutely beautifully. It was my little bodge to kind of seal up the kind of the off centre bolt hole floundered. And I shat all the oil out somewhere. Anyway, the diff's growling like a good one now. So I'm a bit pissed off with that, and I kind of closed the garage doors on it a couple of weeks ago. I just left it there. Disconnected the battery, of course. I do love it, really. I'm not going to sell it. But I need to top the diff up, first of all, and establish if there's any lasting damage to it. And then the diff needs to come off, I think, for a proper fix on that back plate. Or I need to source a 25 PI diff back plate, which, as I understand it, has a similar mounting pattern to the Stag back plate. That will do away then with the blind hole. But yeah, there'll be more on Project Stag coming up. I also want to paint the engine bay on that car, probably happen in the Wickham workshop, and get the car generally fettled and looking a little bit better. I mean, I know engine bays and machine workshops, blah 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 blah. They don't want to be absolutely pristine. Some people like that. Personally, I don't. It's a working car. So that's Stag. TR7's another one that people keep asking me about. So it's a customer's car. It's got to the stage now where we're fairly certain that the knocking noise is crankcase related. I think because it's a big echo chamber, and because there's a big echo chamber above it where the jack shaft runs, we're kind of thinking, well, perhaps it was jack shaft, but the noise has moved from one location to another. Now, it could well be because we've taken the water pump out or run it without the water pump. That car definitely did not make a noise when we pulled the water pump out. I've conferred with the owner, and he confirms as well. Yep, we started it up without the water pump. It didn't make a noise, which is why I wasted time rebuilding the water pump. Anyway, we've got a water pump that's going to be sold off that car. The owner will deal with that. As far as the engine is concerned, now he's been called back to work, which means he's away for a month or two. And then hopefully I'll be able to get back in touch with him. He's very handy. You know, he likes working on cars, so he only really kind of gets me involved where there's stuff that he needs expertise on. I can give an update on the car, really, on where it is. So he was looking at getting the cylinder head off, pulling the sump off and retrieving my my hex socket, which disappeared in there. It does happen from time to time, by the way. I was trying to undo the jack shaft retaining plate using a 5 or 6 mil socket on a 3/8 drive, and I pulled it out, and the socket went onto the nose of the sump and then rolled into the sump, into the oil. I'll get it back. It's not really a problem. So we're not sure what we're going to do with that project at the moment. And option 1 is to, because it's a very, very tidy convertible car. It's not been on the road in a number of years. So option 1 is to establish what the knocking noise is and remedy that and get the TR7 up and running again as a TR7. Option 2 is to utilise the TR8 specific bits around the EFI and the front subframe and so forth. Utilise those bits to build up a good Rover V8 solution. The engine that the customer bought from a car that had broken its back is an old SD1 Auto block, and it's fucked. I mean, it's got very, very low compression. And yeah, some of you guys did point out, by the way, error in my my analysis there. I don't know what I was doing, but when you take the rocket gear off, it's very, very good at when you've got the kind of the air compressor going into the spark plug hole to check the combustion leak. But when you're cranking the engine over, it's not going to be drawing air in, so it's not going to be compressing air and pushing it back out again. So no, you need the valve gear in place if you're doing a compression check. Sorry about that, folks. But yeah, so we've got a boat anchor of a SD1 3.5 Auto block, but we've got good heads, which have been skimmed and all appear to be in good order. And we've got a complete EFI setup for that engine. The customer's also got all of the brakes, the front subframe, brand new, not the rusting one that was the engine sitting on, a couple of gearboxes. So we're kind of pondering, do we move down the road of making a TR7 V8? Or do we resort back and get the thing running as a four-cylinder? The costs are obviously way cheaper on getting the four-cylinder up and running, because effectively you can go out and buy another four-cylinder TR7 engine from someone that's doing the V8 upgrade. But I don't know yet. I don't know on that one. You have to wait a month or two on that one. He did manage to get his TR7 V8 Grinnell up and running and MOT'd. So that's good news. That's a car I didn't work on, but did look at. Very, very, very nice as well. Just got that one MOT'd. Now, of course, he's got to bugger off to work again. Other projects. Giles' Stag, he has been running it in. Now he's on COVID lockdown because one of his work colleagues was tested positive. I was hoping to go over this weekend, re-torque the heads and change the oil, but I can't do that. I'm going to have to wait a week or two until I can do that. So that's Giles' Stag. That's the Pro Bonio yellow Stag that you saw me getting up and running for its first time in God knows how many years. But that is running beautifully at the moment. He's very happy with it. Aren't you, Giles? He's not very happy with COVID, though. Sorry about that, chap. What other projects have we got on? I mean, there's other work coming up and around and about. There's a Stag from Norfolk, which I'm expecting. There's the B-suffix Range Rover down in Devon, will be coming up to Devon November time, end of November. And that's going to need a ton of work around routing brake lines, getting the engine up and running so it turns on the key, getting a loom installed, and other bits and bobs really around that, rebuilding the carbs and getting those set up. And just making that car, you know, so it is a viable project moving forward for the customer. Again, the customer's very hands-on. Doesn't necessarily need to pay me to do absolutely everything, and that's the key thing about this. You know, I'll do the shit you don't want to do, and you can carry on, and I can guide you to do the bits that you want to do. And that's the way my business kind of works. It's not just a case of, right, hand over the car and a blank check, because that's not the way I work. It's not the way I want to work. So that's the B-suffix Range Rover, red shed. I'm going to go and see a chap on Friday who's got a left-hand drive Range Rover, 1991 left-hand drive Range Rover, that we're going to discuss doing a Southpaw Part 2 on. Convert that car to right-hand drive. It's a VM diesel. From what I've heard and from what I've seen on walk-arounds and videos and things, it's a very, very tidy car. Needs some fettling. The problem is you never quite know really what you're digging into until you start pulling apart a car, but it does look nice. It looks viable. I think long term for that might be a V8 and an automatic, but short term, let's get the VM up and running. Let's get the car on the road and MOT'd and road registered in the UK. That's the kind of the objective behind my proposal, which I'll be putting across on Friday. So hopefully that project will be coming in very, very soon as well, probably in the new year. Southpaw as a project, that is with its owner. His owner is absolutely delighted with it. There's been a bit of a cock up on the lowered springs. In the last videos you noticed that the car was sitting a bit high at the arse end, and I just figured that was because of the lack of seat, blah, blah, blah. Now we've loaded it up and we can't get the car level. We've been consulting with Famous 4 where the lowered springs came from, and they suggested there may have been a cock up in the part number or the manufacturer. So we're going to get those springs changed over at some point. But the owner is using that car and it is doing exactly what he wants. In fact, so much so that I believe he's got rid of his leased Tiguan and is using his 200 TDI two-door Range Rover as a daily driver now, which is exactly what he wanted to do with it, which is good news. I mean, there was a lot of work that needed to be done on that car, which is a shame because I think he'd already paid a lot of money on work being done, and then kind of it wasn't really, you know, at a standard where it's going to be reliable. I wasn't spending his money on his behalf, promise you. So that's pretty much about it. If I think of any more projects, or if you can think of a project you want an update on, then ping me, comments below, or drop me an email. And yeah, but I hope that's ironed out some of the questions that I get fairly regularly on email and on comments. But I'll probably do one of these project updates on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. I'll see how it goes. I mean, if there's kind of a whole load of activity just happening on one or two projects and you want to know what's going on with the others, then, you know, feel free. But nothing's been scrapped, nothing's been got rid of. Everything is still, you know, as a viable project, but just not sure when. Thank you very much for watching.